What's up, everybody? Alex Ferranti here, of course, and this is a massive CD update. 19 new CDs I recently bought, combining from both eBay and Newberry Comics. It's really big, I know, which means I'm gonna do a CD collection too. I did order The Last Command by Wasp on eBay, but I'm gonna save that soon, since I don't want to keep delaying the video. First CD is Billion Dollar Babies by Alice Cooper. No More Mr. Nice Guy and Billion Dollar Babies itself are the best ones on this album. Next we got Van Halen 2 from 1979. You can't ever go wrong with the major guitar solo in Eruption. Basically the entire album is a greatest hit. Eddie Van Halen is obviously one of the best guitar players of all time. Not a lot of guitarists can ever do what he can do. Next we got is the best album by Judas Priest in the 1980s, Defenders of the Faith. Free Will Burning. I've first heard of that song from the video game Gran Turismo 4, but I've heard the song Turbo Lover before that one from Gran Turismo 3, but the best songs on this album would be Free Will Burning, of course, Jawbreaker, Rock Hard, Ride Free, Eat Me Alive, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, Heavy Duty. Just the entire album is flawless. But my favorite album by Judas Priest would be Painkiller, which I have, along with Angels of Retribution and Redeemer of Souls, and I think Ram It Down, along with British of Steel, and maybe Turning Point. Judas Priest is almost a flawless band, even though the album from 2008 was mediocre. Next, to kickstart my Amy Malmsteen collection, Rising Force from 1984. Some pretty kick-ass neoclassical. My dad saw him live opening up for AC/DC, and I think it was either 1986 or 1985. And of course, next we got Stay Hungry by Twisted Sister. Everyone knows these guys for We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock. Can't forget that I Wanna Rock was parodied in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. That's how I was introduced to this song and Twisted Sister. But the other good songs would be the song Stay Hungry itself, Burn in Hell, The Price, The Ballad The Price, Beast. Next we got Invasion of Your Privacy by Rat. Best tracks on this album would be You're in Love, which was featured in one of my prom videos. Lay It Down, Give It All, You Should Know By Now, Got Me in Line, Between the Eyes. A lot of guitar solos are pretty killer too. Next we got a very not so well known classic, known as Warlock, Triumph and Agony. This is a somewhat short-lived band, traditional metal band, German. The lead vocalist of this band is a woman, in case you guys didn't know, or have never heard of these guys, no less. Because a good bit of you that are watching this probably have never heard of Warlock. All We Are, I Rule the Ruins, Kiss of Death, Touch of Evil, Metal Tango are the best tracks on this one. Next we got Great Whites Once Bitten. All Over Now, Lady Red Light, which thanks to Lane I know. He introduced me to that song and album. and Gonna Getcha, Save Your Love, and Rock Me are the best tracks on this album, which was released in 1987. And as you guys can tell, I'm going by the years rather than the bands. And then next we got Yngwie Malmsteen's Odyssey. Strangely, the actual song Rising Force was never featured on the actual album titled Rising Force. So Yngwie Malmsteen decided to name himself Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force, his band, no less. There's a trilogy, Ice and Fire, and several other albums by Yngwie Malmsteen are amazing, but I know he can at times have a lot of the songs sound the same, but he still kicks ass. Next we got probably Wasp's best album ever in their discography, and that'll be The Headless Children. I got this at the Listen Up store along with the Defenders of Faith album. You might want to get the album itself and read it. The best tracks would have to be Hedrick, The Lost Child, The Real Me, which is a cover of The Who, The Headless Children, The Thunderhead, Me Man. The entire album is flawless. However, a fact about this album, Blackie Lawless kicked Chris Holmes out of the band before this album was released. I don't know what went wrong, but Chris Holmes hasn't played in the band since 2001, and Chris Holmes reunited only for a while from 1996 to 2001. And then he eventually... Next we got LA Guns, Cocked and Loaded. I was first introduced to this album off the song Rip and Tear, but the other good songs would be Malaria, Magdal Lane, Give a Little, 17 Crush, Wheels of Fire. This, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was Chris Holmes' other band, but I could be wrong. I sometimes have trouble remembering the band members of LA Guns. Next we got Whitesnake's Slip of the Tongue, which probably was the last glam metal album of the 80s, before the 80s drew to a close. Slip of the Tongue, Cheap and Nasty, Fool for Your Lovin' were the first... Oh yeah, and Deeper the Love were the first songs I ever heard from this track, thanks to Pandora. Next we got some kick-ass 90s crossover thrash, and that would be Prong, Beg to Differ. A lot of people say that metal died out in the 90s, but Prong right here proves that wrong, along with Fear Factory, which I'm about to talk about pretty soon, since I also got a CD from them, spoiler alert. Next we got Alice in Chains' Facelift, their debut. Alice in Chains still makes pretty good music, it's just never the same without Lane Staley. You can never deny his vocals. Alice in Chains always kicked ass. Of course, everyone knows them for the song Man on the Box of this album. He has good songs are We Die Young, Sea of Sorrow, Bleed of the Freak, Sunshine, Love, Hate, Love, I Can't Remember, Real Thing, Confusion. Just this entire album is flawless. Once again. Next, as I mentioned earlier, Fear Factory. You can thank Test Drive 5 for introducing me to this album, off the songs New Breed, Replica, To Manufacture, I think was featured in it, and then they did some electric remix of some songs off this album. Gene Hoglan. He's a kick-ass drummer that played in so many kick-ass bands such as Fear Factory, Deathlock, and too many to name. And of course, another CD I bought today, Disturbed 10,000 Fists. I first started them off the song Decadence from the game Need for Speed Most Wanted, and then Stricken off Guitar Hero 3. But I think 10,000 Fists would have to be the best track of this album. This also would be my first Disturbed CD. And next CD, my first metalcore album I haven't bought in so long. I think the only metalcore album I think would have to be The Fall of Ideals by All That Remains I have so far, but As Daylight Dies by Killswitch Engage is finally another I have. I really don't like a lot of metalcore, but bands like Killswitch Engage really keep it consistent, while so many others. Next, we got Halestorm's The Strange Case Of. Everyone knows them for the song I Miss the Misery, but my ultimate favorites would have to be Love Bites, So Do I, and The Rock Show. Of course, I was introduced to Halestorm based on the song The Rock Show, thanks to NASCAR Inside Line. As I made a video earlier, top 10 songs from NASCAR games. But Love Bites, So Do I, it would have to be the best track on this album. This was made 3 years ago in 2003. And of course, the best one out of all those, Monomarth's Yom's Viking. I couldn't tell you what best tracks are on this album because this entire album is just flawless. I can't even make up my mind of what the best tracks are on this album. It's like death metal mixed with melodic death metal is like power metal mixed with death metal, and then you get Amon Amarth, Dark Tranquillity, Arch Enemy, and so many other bands. When you mix Viking themes with metal, it's just so damn awesome. I can't tell you how awesome it is. I am a huge sucker for power metal and melodic death metal. So these are all the CDs I got. There'll be a CD collection soon, so stay tuned. Peace out.